And now, finally, I will just touch upon how the microplan documents is developed and what are the contents of microplan documents. Now, you have to prepare a document which explains everything that is what we have been analyzing. Now, on the basis of the discussion, what we have seen that a microplan is to be documented so that anyone can read the document and understand the processes, the issues, and the interventions that we are planning for the development of the area. So there are various what you can call chapters, there are various sections. So the first section or first chapter of your plan document, or what you can call your block plan document or district plan document or micro plan document, is the introduction. You are basically introducing your plan to a stranger, because your plan, you are very well aware about your area, you understood, you analyzed, you have developed various kinds of data, qualitative data, quantitative data, and then on the basis of that you are well aware about the area. But many times it happens that your plan is going to be assessed or appraised by a stranger. He or she may be expert in planning, but he may not be knowing about the area. So you have to introduce your overall plan document. You have to give a small background about the area, about the particular issues which are emerging academically. So it is just a brief summary or synopsis of the whole processes. So this is, in a nutshell, just as you see on the screen, about the introduction. Now the second chapter is, now gradually you are focusing on the area. Now you can call area profile or district profile or block profile. It talks about all kind of data about the area, the demographic data, the geographic data, the data that you got from various kinds of satellite mechanism, the data which you have collected from quantitative, qualitative, and participatory surveys, and talking about all the fundamental issues which are relevant in the context of regional development or in the context of the development of the block or the district. You have to use all your creativity. Now that is very important. You have to use all your creativity, including, because suppose I am the stranger and you are, say, from Lakshadweep Union Territory, and you have planned for a particular area and I have no idea about that. So I need your visual presentation. You can use maps, you can use figures, you can use charts, and the maps are very, very important to really explain the whole issue. So, and you can use the latest updated information so that the stranger, the reader, will be able to understand about the whole plan. Now, the third chapter would focus specifically on some of the issues which are mainly concerned with integrated area development. You can talk about the specific dimensions which are concerned with the development. Many times the plans are prepared for specific sectors, say health sector, say education sector, say livelihood sector. Yes, I agree that sectoral plans lack the integrity, but I think it would be very difficult to prepare a comprehensive plan. But many times the government initiatives ask you to prepare plan focusing on a particular sector and try to see around what is happening around that sector. Suppose you are talking about education, so you have to discuss various issues concerned with education. So the second chapter and third chapter would be more specific, whereas second chapter would give you a broad area profile including all kind of data. But be careful, whatsoever data you use in the plan, different chapters of the plan, that data must be used to explain some of the issues. Many times the documents which are prepared by the people are full of data, huge amount of data, but it's very difficult to get certain inference out of that data. So here what you can do, you can divide the data into two parts. One you can put at the annexers, other one you can put in the main figures. The next chapter, or rather I can say the fourth chapter, is mainly how the plan is formulated. So this is called I generally call it a planning process chapter, because you are not the only Robinson Crusoe who knows about the whole area. You may be appointed there by the university or by the department or by the government agency, but there are the people from whom you collect the data. So the planning process is to be documented. How the intervention that you are talking about plan, you link it with the earlier modules, location, allocation, function. Where the schools are located, where hospitals are located, where extension agencies are located. That's exactly what we do at the real meaning of the planning is like this. So that planning process, you have to document how the data are collected. If you use the participatory processes, you have to talk about the kind of processes, and you have to document all the aspects. Suppose in a district there are certain blocks, so you can prepare a kind of map, say that okay, this block, these kind of issues have been identified, this block, these kind of issues have been identified. Because a district, when we talk about, for all practical purpose, when we talk about a district is not a homogeneous system. So you have to identify the specific aspects concerned with the processes. Now, the next chapter, or the fifth chapter, because you are not preparing or formulating a plan for the first time, because maybe before you the earlier efforts were made in the plan. So which means that planning is a continuous exercise. Suppose you are preparing, generally in the government vocabulary it is called annual work plan and budget. Suppose you are preparing annual work plan and budget for the current year. So you have to see what is the progress which you have been achieved till the last year. So this chapter is going to talk about the progress overview, and on the basis of that you fix your targets. That okay, within these 12 months we will be able to achieve these targets. Targets are actually the quantified objectives are target, and targets are very specific, targets are achievable, targets are decided on the basis of time frame. So these are some of the characteristics which is associated with the target. So you have to fix the target. Now when you have fixed the target, and all these targets are, and the processes that we have discussed till this time are linked with next chapter. It is called the problems and issues. On the basis of the data, on the basis of the sectoral data, on the basis of the overall profile, on the basis of the planning processes, now you identify the major problems and issues. And it is always better, if you are working within a particular sector, you can divide that sector into subsectors, or this is one dimension. Second and complementary dimension is that you must divide that whole district into different blocks and identify the issues, problems which are concerned with the blocks for which you will ultimately plan for intervention and for which you need financial resources. And then, you can negotiate the plan before it is going to be adopted by the government. So this chapter is very important, which is based on the whole earlier analysis. And now the next chapter is called the strategies and interventions. Now, you know the problems, and you have already explained that how these problems have been identified. Identification of the problem, as I just gave you, you recall the example of diagnosis of given by a doctor. So you are like a doctor, you are diagnosing the issues. On the basis of diagnosis, you are designing a strategy, or you are designing interventions or your prescriptions. So you can talk about various kinds of strategies so that you can achieve the vision of that particular area, development vision of that particular area. You can achieve the objectives and targets which are already mentioned earlier. Maybe next chapter would focus on specific problem areas within a particular district. I'm just giving you an elaborated exercise that has actually been done at the grassroots level. I can give you one unique example. Suppose you are preparing or formulating a plan focusing on education sector. Okay, now within education sector, suppose in a particular district, there are certain blocks where girls' education is very important. There are certain pockets which are having a forest area and dominated by aborigines, tribals. There are certain areas, suppose there are certain urban areas where there is a lot of slum population, where street children are there. So I think with this example, you understand, because you understand your own context. So what I am saying that it is your wish, you can club this particular chapter with the earlier chapter, but it is always better if as a stranger I am reading your plan document and then you are explaining me that look, these are the broader issues. However, these are the specific issues. If we do not focus on those issues, then we will not be able to achieve the targets. You can link with whatsoever was discussed earlier. Think about sustainable development goals. Think about climate change. Think about the governance issues, integrated area development planning, and so transport planning, and so. So the point is that it is my humble thinking is that if you give a specific chapter on unique problems of a district, take one example, another example. You are preparing a plan for Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep is divided into different islands, unique problems. And then you have to think about specific issues. There are broader issues, there are specific issues. So that you can think about the specific issues. Remember, integrated area development planning is focusing on sectors. Specific issues concerned with a specific sector, agriculture sector, horticulture sector, industrial sector, transportation sector. Specific issues concerned with different sections of population. Sections, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, gender issues, a lot of other things are there. Issues concerned at different level, spatial level. There are exclusive pockets, hard to reach pockets. And then next chapter, you focus on the convergence, coordination, and linkages. What I'm saying that if you are preparing integrated area plan for the whole district, then you have to see how various issues are going to be converged. I can give you one example so that you can understand the issue of convergence. Convergence, theoretically we call, you have to integrate two activities, or you have to overlap two activities so that the overall cost of the planning would be minimized. Now, interestingly, one example so that you will be able to understand is that suppose you are planning for education development. You have students, those who are coming to these schools. Now, this is one dimension. You have all kind of planning, intervention, quality, etc., retention, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, all these issues are there. But health of the children. Suppose children are living in unhygienic conditions. So their health checkup. Who is going to do the health checkup? It is not the education department, but it is the health department. So you converge means you only ask the doctors from primary health center to visit these schools. So your plan document must say, okay, these schools are going to be visited by these doctors, health checkup camps will be done. There is another interesting point. Now, you see, there are a lot of studies which are carried out in Africa, Latin America, and even in India, which shows that if you provide a better health checkup, then the attendance in the classroom increases. Just see the beauty of this system. Because the young students have a lot of problems. And if these problems can be tackled either preventive or curative, then they will not be sick and they will be attending these schools. So this is one very unique example of convergence. Another example, like, it is called classroom hunger. So when I am studying, I'm hungry. Because you are asking a student to sit from 8 o'clock to up to 2 o'clock. Many times are poor students. So there are in every system, like even in India, there is a midday meal scheme. Now, how that scheme is being worked, what should be the plan? Because teachers will say that no, we are not supposed to take care of the midday meal. So you have to think in terms of. There is another interesting point, which is called vertical convergence. Suppose I am a young girl of 8 years and I have my small sibling, a young sister or brother. I can't come because I have to take care of the sibling. Now you have to think about the design, and that design is called what you call ICDS, Integrated Child Development Programs, where those siblings can stay in some of those ICDS center and the child can study. Now, I'm specifically giving you these examples, real life example, because if a theory is unable to explain the reality or practice what happens around you, there is no meaning of that particular theory. And I hope that you will appreciate that the theoretical framework that you have seen is absolutely fitting with this process. So convergence, coordination, linkages, the management information system is a very important dimension of integrated area planning. Okay. Now, next chapter. Now here comes the issue of finance. You have already identified a list of interventions. You have already identified that who is going to do what. Then you talk about the finance. How much finance at micro level you can mobilize, how much resources are being given by different government to you, and then you talk about the whole kind of costing, procurement, all these kind of financial things. There are financial software packages. It is called Financial Management Information System, through which you will be able to do it. Especially take example of India, because as I said that I will be giving example from India, but plenty of examples are available across different worlds. You go through some of the reports which are prepared by UNICEF, by UNESCO, by Food and Agriculture Organization, by UNDP, by the World Bank, you will find plenty of examples. And there are, very interestingly, I again want to provoke you. You must, in case if you are interested in conducting research, in case if one of your paper is dissertation, you focus on these areas, because these are the new and emerging areas on which district specific, block specific researches are being promoted and supported. and for these kind of activities, even the government finances are available. In majority of the programs which are being carried out by in India, Government of India or the state government, there is a very important component which is called research and evaluation, and that research and evaluation component can be used for understanding how things are happening at the grassroots level. Now, the last chapter would be, because everything you have done, you know how much money you require, you know what are these activities are to be done, then ultimately you have to prepare a kind of implementation, how this plan is going to be implemented. You have to plan how it is being implemented, you have to prepare an implementation schedule, and just one example, I'm showing you a small table. In this table, you see major interventions which are tackling with the problems. Who is going to tackle that problem means which of the department is going to tackle the problems. Then which is the department or agency implementing that thing, and which is the agency which is really monitoring that whole activity. So you have broad categories, and then you have, suppose it is your annual plan, then you have 12 months, and you can prepare complete chart through which you will be able to monitor it, how things are being done. So this is in a nutshell the documentation of integrated area development plan for a particular region. At the end of this plan document, you can just add some annexures which are detailing, which may not be directly relevant, but any person like you who is conducting a research, who is more interested in going into the details of the data, case studies, information, success stories, failure stories. So for him, because documentation is a permanent record, and it is going to be a what we call academic repository of the mankind, so that any person who wanted to conduct a further study, who wanted to further develop a planning document, use it. So this is, in a nutshell, the overall the content, or we can say chapterization.